Welcome to my home studio. Today we're shooting at home because, well, Evil Empire is being rented out for the next week or so. So why not build my living room into a standing set? Fiance loves that. So what was supposed to be just a quick and easy shoot of showing the different soft sources that you can get for an interview setting just like this, and honestly to give me a chance to experiment a little bit more, turned into an entire Netflix documentary setup. Well, at least I'm hoping it's going for that vibe. And it's taken about 7 lights and 5 hours to get this kind of dialed into where I want in the background so that we can get to the video, which is the key source lighting that we're going for. So this is with everything turned off and it doesn't look that amazing. We're gonna get the lights dialed in and get it looking real nice. So we're gonna start off with just our key bouncing into the ceiling as our first soft source. Now I've dialed in my camera settings so that the outside is exposed, and that's what's going to set your video apart from a lot of the other interview setups that you'll probably see online of a lot of filmmakers just getting started. When that background is overexposed and everything's blown out, it drops the quality of your video substantially. So let's set our camera settings so that that's exposed outside, and now we can dial in the lights to get to a point where we can get the interior of your set exposed to a similar level and still have your subject pop off the wall. Let me turn the lights on so you can actually see me. So this is all of my lights turned on. I kind of got all of the background dialed in ahead of shooting this video because this is still more about our key source. And right now I'm using a 600C Pro just bouncing into a white ceiling, and that's giving my key. It's a fairly soft source, but we can get it dialed in even better from this. So our next setup, we're going to use the most used and probably one of the biggest footprint soft sources that you can use to get our next lighting setup, and that's going to be our Light Dome 3. Using just a light dome, I don't even have a grid on it because we're trying to get as much of a soft wrapping source as we can to honestly illuminate as much of the space as we can, because with the lights that I have, I don't think I'd be able to get the light levels quite as high as I'd like to fill out the entire space. But we're gonna make do with using the softbox, not only just for me as the key, but just to fill in some of the light around me as well. So let's just power this guy up and see how it looks so far. Now my monitor is only 7 inches and it's quite a ways away, but I can already see that this light is still pretty sourcey. It feels like I'm lit, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So we can obviously dial in the camera settings a little bit more to try and get the contrast ratio a little more even and it's feeling a little less lit. There's also probably a little more wiggle room if I had a boom to bring this key out in front of me a little more. But with what we're working with right now, it's just not really working. This next diffusion source is my absolute favorite because it's so great for traveling. There's only really 3 pieces that you're gonna have to bring with you on your travels, and the rest you can most likely rent at whatever city you're going to be shooting in, assuming you're not in the forest or desert somewhere where there are no rental houses. But for most interview setups, you can travel with this setup very easily. So I've now got my last C-stand setup there. I've got my Cardellini clamp. These guys are also very useful to have. And I think they usually run under $100, which is pretty cheap for filmmaking gear, which is always a bonus. This one's actually from Manfrotto, and I really like these ones after my friends over at Source Shop sold me on these because they actually have a textured, grippy clamp, which is going to hold anything that you're gripping a lot better than your Mathelinis and Kupo vice clamps, whatever they call them. They're all the same thing, but I like that these ones are red so you can see them well and extra grippy. So we're just going to get this mounted on to the knuckle or grip head of our C-stand. And always make sure that's on the right side, because not only is it safer, but you won't get torn apart on the internet like I did. This is just a backdrop pole stand. It's telescopic. So this will actually go out to 9 feet, which is great because our diffusion is 8 feet. So we can get it to the exact length that we need to get our big soft source for this interview. And we're gonna see if we even have room in the corner that we're shooting out of. That's our other problem that we always come across. Never enough room. So if we get this, oh yeah. So this is my absolute favorite way to do a big soft source when you're either low on budget, low on crew, or low on time. Just throwing up an 8x8 fabric is going to give you a nice big soft source, and depending on the type of fabric, it'll get either softer or harder depending on which you end up using. With a silent full grid, this was the fabric that I kind of went with that I knew would work for most of the situations that I would find myself in. There's obviously unbleached muslin that you can bounce off of. If you were to do a book light, it would get even softer than this. But if you can back up your key light further away from the fabric, you're gonna obviously get an even softer source than what I have now. Now, I'm limited on space behind the fabric. This is doing a pretty good trick, doing a pretty good job of what I'm hoping it will do for that limited space that I have. So in your next lighting setup, if you're looking for a big soft source light, something like this may do really well for you. And these are, again, rentable in a lot of rental shops. But if you're doing a lot of these interview setups, it's nice to have your own fabric kit that you can go to at any moment's notice. I do find sometimes trying to go to a rental shop at the last minute to get these can be a little bit tough. They may not have stock, and it's just good to have your own supply in your own gear closet if you're lucky enough to have one. So think about looking at different fabrics and shooting through those instead of just your typical light dome, which is only about 3 feet. Getting those same qualities of light through a light dome can be a lot tougher when those are a lot smaller, and you have to get them a lot closer to your subject than you may be able to when you have a bigger, wider shot like this. I'm scared. So now that we've made to the end of this video, I figure we should run through all of the lights that I have to light this scene and make it look a lot nicer than when we started. So if I pop into the Sidus Link app, because all of these lights are aperture or Amaran, which means they connect to the app and you can turn them up, turn them down, change the color all from your phone. It's nothing new, but I still think technology is pretty amazing that you're able to do that. So let's start from the top of the list and move our way down. The first light that I actually set was the Amaran 300C with the spotlight mount and just a gobo or cookie slash Cucaloris. That is set at 4800 Kelvin, 77% intensity. And if we turn that guy off, we can see what that was doing right behind me there. Just adds a bit of a breakup pattern. It looks like more of a natural light coming in through the background, just adding a little bit of texture. So that right there is always fun to play with spotlight mounts. Just make sure you throw them out of focus enough so that they look realistic and not super fake and tacky. Next up, we've got the 60X, and this guy is actually just lighting up the painting behind me as well on the same side. So turning that on and off, you can see it's just lighting up a little more of that background there. Again, just adding a little more depth so that we can see the painting in all its painting glory. Then we've got the MT Pro, and that one's only at 5.7%, 4100 Kelvin. And that's just lighting up the bar cart behind me, adding a little texture to the cocktail glasses that are back there. And adding a little color contrast as well. And then we move on to our 60D. And this guy is just lighting up the record player on the opposite side. Just, again, filling in the right side of me, giving a little bit more of a sun effect there. It's amazing once you start to add all of these lights, all the lights that you actually need to make it look like one source. But that is filling in a little bit more of that right side. And then we go down to our backlight. So the backlight is the Amaran PT2C. That one we have running at 65% intensity at 4500 Kelvin. Well, oh, that got disconnected too. So we can't actually show that one turning on and off. Great. Anyway, it's back there. It's a 2-foot tube. And then we go to our final MT Pro, and that is our candlelight. And hopefully we can make this one work. Will this one work? We'll just change the intensity. Nope. We lost that one too. Fun. Anyway, it's in the back corner. It's playing off as the candlelight as well. So that's my setup that I spent far too much time doing today, but it's also great to work in a team It's a collaborative space. We want to get ideas from all kinds of different people while you're building these sets because people will see the scene in different ways that may improve your shot. So even though you may be a DP on a project, talk to your gaffer, talk to your PAs, and see what ideas they might have. You may use them, you may not, but everyone's there to make your shot look better. And if you have any comments that you want to leave down below about how I could make this shot look better, feel free to leave them down below. I always love hearing how people do their own lighting setups because I don't know everything. This was just an experiment to see how much better I could get doing these types of shots, because wide interview shots aren't easy to do because you have to hide your lights in interesting places and keep that really nice natural look while making sure your subject looks really good in the shot. I think I look pretty good, but till next time, we'll see you in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. I would love to hire some people on the next one so that I don't have to spend my entire day doing just background lighting. All right, we'll see you in the next one.